In ancient Greece, Ephebes were young men, typically between the ages of 14 and 18. The term Ephebe comes from the Greek word for adolescent. These young men were enrolled in a form of military training known as Ephebia, where they learned not only the art of war, but also survival skills and philosophy. This training, however, required more than just physical preparation. It needed a mentor. A mentor was usually a mature man, well regarded in Greek aristocratic circles and experienced in combat and strategy. Rarely were the relationships between Ephebes and their mentors strictly limited to teaching. These bonds often involved a mix of sexual and apprenticeship relationships, although they were not always romantic. The sexual component of the relationship usually ended once the Ephebe grew a full beard, a sign that he had transitioned from adolescence into adulthood. Young children were protected. However, this type of relationship was distinct from interactions with younger boys, who were fiercely protected by their families. Children in ancient Greece were guarded closely, especially by their parents and teachers. Teachers, who had to be at least 40 years old to teach, were extremely strict about maintaining distance between their students and other men. Often, parents would hire private tutors or send slaves to accompany their children to protect them from inappropriate interactions. This form of mentorship and courtship was more common and accepted among the Greek aristocracy than the general population. The better the reputation of the mentor, the more honored the young man's family would feel. For the Ephebe, having a respected mentor elevated his status within Greek society. In certain regions like Crete, the courtship ritual involved a symbolic abduction. With the consent of the young man's parents, a suitor would abduct the Ephebe, and their relatives and friends would give chase, though they always allowed the couple to escape. For 2 months, the lovers would camp in the wilderness, where the mentor would teach the young man the basics of warfare, while they also became intimately acquainted. Upon returning, the mentor would give his beloved gifts, such as military gear, an ox for sacrifice, toiletries, and a wine cup. The power dynamic and teachings. Power dynamics played a crucial role in these relationships. It was frowned upon for the Ephebe to desire his mentor. Instead, he was expected to feel deep reverence and gratitude for being chosen. The mentor's persistence in courtship was celebrated, and he was responsible for teaching the Ephebe to distinguish between vulgar love, driven solely by desire, and sublime love, which was considered deep and enduring. This higher form of love was thought to be exclusive to relationships between men, as women were seen as inferior in both character and intellect. In addition to love and warfare, mentors taught Ephebes about politics, democracy, and public life. They attended banquets together and frequented public spaces like the agora and the wrestling schools. Once the Ephebe grew his beard and was recognized as a man, he was ready to take on the role of a mentor himself, continuing the cycle of education and guidance for the next generation. The relationship between an Ephebe and his mentor was temporary and primarily educational, not considered romantic in the modern sense. However, understanding these types of relationships offers insight into the fluid nature of human interactions. It reminds us that what we consider natural or unnatural is often shaped by the social structures of our time. Ancient Greece had its own customs and norms regarding relationships, and these were deeply intertwined with their understanding of education, power, and status.